Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel and share as well as like this video as well. Today we are going to be talking about the theory of international relations called liberalism. Liberalism. Theory of international relations called liberalism. What is liberalism? Now, as a usual practice, I'll actually go by way of word attack to really demystify this theory. You know, really demystify this theory. Okay, so the word liberalism is gotten from the root word liberal, and liberal is gotten from the derivative liberate. Now, the word liberate simply means to free people, simply means freedom. Liberal is a word that actually signifies that someone is free, someone is actually very free. Now, liberal or liberalism, okay, is a word that is actually gotten from a French concept called laissez-faire. Okay, now liberalism as a theory is one of the main schools of thought, or one of the main theory of international relations. Liberalism as a theory of government is a theory of government within states and good governance between states and people worldwide. So, unlike realism, which regards the international system as anarchic, liberalism seeks to project values of order, liberty, justice, tolerance, into the international relations. So domestic and international institutions are required, to protect these values. What are these values that I talked about? The values of order, liberty, justice, and tolerance in international relations. Okay, now let us look at the various, or before we go into the various perspectives of liberalism, let me be very quick to tell you that the root of modern liberalism in international relations can be traced to a man called Immanuel Kant in his essay written, okay, in 1975. Okay, the title of the essay is, perpetual peace. Perpetual peace. Now, in this essay, Immanuel Kant, not 1975, is 1795. Now, in this essay, Immanuel Kant provided three conditions for perpetual peace. Three conditions for perpetual peace. And what are these conditions? Number one is new liberalism. Okay? Now, new liberalism. What is this new liberalism? Neoliberalism actually stresses the importance of international institutions. In fact, he was actually very interested in saying, for there to be world peace, for there to be perpetual peace, there must be the establishment of international organizations or institutions that will actually continue to protect this world peace, to ensure that humanity actually live in peace and harmony. Okay, so that is what neoliberalism is talking about. Then number two is commercial liberalism. Now this one emphasizes the importance of economic interdependence. That is commercial liberalism. And then the third one is democratic peace theory, which emphasizes that democracies rarely, if ever, go to war with each other. Okay, so that is actually what liberalism is talking about according to Immanuel Kant. Don't forget that we are actually looking at various perspectives, and we have looked at the perspective of Immanuel Kant. Now let us look at other perspectives now. Let us look at other perspectives. One of the assumptions of liberalism is that non-state actors are also important in world politics. That international organizations, for example, which is part of the non-state actors, which is what Immanuel Kant was actually referring to, neoliberalism, yeah, may on certain issues be independent actors in their own rights. They are more than simply a fora within which states compete, okay, and cooperate with one another. So international organizations, okay, can also have important role in implementing, monitoring, as well as attributing or arbitration of disputes between member states. Okay, so similarly, non-governmental organizations such as multinational corporations, human rights groups, and environmental organizations actually play important roles in what? In world politics. So it is not just the state actors that are very relevant in the international system. Both both states and non-state actors, particularly international organizations, are actually very important in world politics. Number two perspective or assumption is that for the liberals, the state is not a unitary actor. Now, it is composed of competing individuals, interest groups, and bureaucracies. Okay, even journalists or government representatives may refer to decision taken by the United States and other states. Okay, that would be more accurate to talk of a decision made by a particular government agency or or department. Okay, so the state is not a unitary actor. Now if there are foreign policy, or if there are policies to be formulated, it is directed at several government agencies to do that. For example, if there's any foreign policy issue on education, on on agriculture, on culture, on on the economy, it is the agency of government that is responsible for all those sectors that will make those policies and hand it over to the government for the government to project. So it is not, to that extent, government is not actually a unitary actor, or the state is not a unitary actor. Then number three, liberals challenge the idea of the state as a rational actor. Okay, now according to them, it is assumed that the clash of interest and the need for compromise do not always make for a rational decision-making process. So the bureaucratic politics may dominate decision-making, leading to poor decisions. So the state is not always a rational actor, because of course in the Nigerian situation, for example, when the Nigerian government was about to actually become the member of OPEC, of course most countries in OPEC are Islamic countries, and so the Christians in the country were actually against the move of Nigeria becoming the member of OPEC. So to that extent, you can say that the state most times is not a rational actor. Okay, so number four assumption is that the liberal agenda of international politics is extensive. They are interested in population issues, trade issues, and the environment issues. They are also interested in several other perspectives. They therefore reject the concept of high politics and low politics. For example, health issues, because high politics is actually political issues and low politics are economic issues. So, but they are saying that there are other things that is different from both politics and economy, because you can talk about issues of health, okay, which also can be as important as military issues too. Okay, so the high politics is actually political issues, particularly military issues. Then the low politics are other things, particularly economy. Okay, so those are the things. So for the liberal, the minimal state is a possibility, okay, because it is assumed that there is an underlying harmony of interest among individuals. Okay, so just as a competition in the marketplace would produce the best goods, so too would the marketplace of ideas produce sound political science. That is why the liberals emphasize the positive role played, okay, by public opinion in providing guidance to state officials and providing good policy, okay, including foreign policy as well. Okay, so those are the things. Those are the things. Now, the state, therefore, is not some unitary, solitary actor pursuing its own course or independent of the public. Okay, on the contrary, it is composed of numerous, persons representing different interests. Not nor are decisions solely made by individuals acting in the name of the state. So decisions are supposed to be informed by public opinion and political consensus arising out of the clash of idea and interest. So for liberalism, okay, for liberalism, the understanding of foreign policy, okay, is highlighted on the individuals and the ideas, as well as the ideas that is based on human rights, liberty, and democracy. Okay, it also stresses capitalism, the market, political institution, and all of that. So in simple terms, what is liberalism? Liberalism is a political philosophy based on liberty, consent of the governed, and equality before the law. Let me repeat it again. Liberalism as a theory of international relations can be defined as a political philosophy based on liberty, consent of government, and equality before the law. Equality before the law. Okay, so those are just the major things that we may need to know. Okay, so those are the things. Now, don't forget that we have talked about the fact that there are three major things, according to Immanuel Kant, that must actually form the basis of liberalism. What are those three major things? We talk about neoliberalism, okay, neoliberalism, which is majorly talking about the establishment of international organizations. And then we also talk about commercial liberalism, which emphasizes the importance of economic interdependence. And then we talk about democratic peace theory, which actually emphasizes the fact that countries that practice democracy rarely or hardly ever go to war. Okay, so those are just the major things. Now, what is the critique? What is the critique of this theory? What is the critique of this theory? Now, the critique of this theory, is the fact that, in as much as liberalism actually talks about the political philosophy of liberty, consent of by the governed, and equality before the law, some of these things are not actually adhered to in several countries of the world. Okay, we talk about liberty, but governments still control, okay, people. We talk about the consent of the governed, because but in the real sense of it, in most countries of the world, the consent of the people are not actually adhered to. We also talk about equality before the law, but in real sense of it, you find out that there are people who are actually above the law. Okay, so that is actually one of the major criticism of liberalism. The second criticism is, they talk about the primacy of international organization or international institution under neoliberalism. However, you find out that even when the international organizations are there, They are just toothless bulldogs that can just bark but cannot bite. Okay, so you find out that states actually, for example, we'll talk about the United States of America, that could do anything it wants to do in the international system without it being sanctioned and all of that. Okay, so we also talk about, okay, interdependence, okay, interdependence. Okay, now this economic interdependence that we talked about, of course you know that most states actually do not want to interdepend or depend on other countries. They'd like to actually do what is known as, economic nationalism, okay, or protectionism. So to that extent, you find out that, it actually impinges on the concept of liberalism. Okay, so, and the last one is democratic peace theory, that if countries actually that practice peace, that practice democracy, they don't go to war. But on the other hand, most countries that even practice democracy have fought themselves in the past. So based on this, you can actually say this is the criticism of it. But let us look at the application of this theory. What is the application of this theory? Today, we are actually talking about the existence of international organizations like the United Nations Organization, the ECOWAS, the EU, the AU, and all of that. So all of these organizations are there to ensure that there is peace and tranquility, peace and harmony existing among nations of the world. So the world as we have it today is actually, a clear demonstration of what? Of liberalism. Don't forget that the United Nations actually have ensured that there is peace in the Middle East, there is peace in Africa, there is peace in several countries of the world. And that is why whenever there is crisis, the UN humanitarian agencies actually move swiftly to those countries to ensure that there is, humanitarian, there is provision of humanitarian, services for the for those that actually need that services. Okay, that is number one. Then number two, we talk about, existence of economic interdependence. Today we have what is known as economic interdependence. If not for anything, we have globalization today, where where there is what is known as deterritorialization, in which case today you can sit in the comfort of your parlor and have trade relations with people from other countries of the world. Okay, so there is economic interdependence. What you don't have, you import from other countries, and what those other countries don't have, they import from you. So to that extent, there is economic interdependence. Okay, and then the next one is democratic peace theory, which means countries actually practice democracy, and that should lead to what? It should lead to peace and tranquility in the world. Today, the United Nations, the ECOWAS, the AU, the EU, and all of that, the Western world actually are sponsoring, electoral observer groups to all countries of the world that want to actually conduct election. The reason for that is to deepen the root of democracy, because of course, where there is democratic practice, countries hardly ever go to war with themselves, with other countries that practice democracy. Liberalism also talks about, liberty, consent of the governed, equality before the law. Today, that is being preached, that is being hammered on, that is actually being advocated for in several countries of the world. So to that extent, even in Nigeria today, people actually are insisting that there should be liberty, there should be freedom, there should be consent, that is a freedom of expression, there should be equality before the law, and all of that. So to that extent, you can say that yes, there is application of this theory within the international system. Thank you very much.